Hello everyone. So now our today's topic is refraction through a rectangular glass slab. Okay, that means how the refraction take place through a rectangular glass slab. As you can see from the figure, the light ray enters from here. Let us consider this OA. This is the incident ray. Okay, so when it will enter through the glass slab, it will slightly shift towards the normal. Why it is shifting towards the normal? Because when a light ray enters from, or when a light ray changes its medium from rarer to denser, this is air, so this is rare medium and this is the denser one. Okay, so when the light ray enters from rarer to denser medium, it will slightly shift towards the normal. Okay, this will be your refracted ray then. And now the light ray from the denser medium will enter to a rarer medium. So now this time this will shift away from the normal. So this is your emergent ray, because the light ray is emerging from this point of incidence. Let us consider this O dash, A dash. Okay, for an ease we are taking it O dash, A dash. Now all the three rays are clear to you. This is incident ray, which is incidenting at some point. This is a refracted ray because it is refracting or changing its medium from air to glass. Then refracted ray will also act as an incident ray for this surface PQ, and now it will emerge in O dash as O dash, A dash, but it will move away from the normal as it is changing its medium from denser to rarer. Clear to you all? Now what will be your angle of incidence? I have already made the normal here perpendicular to the surface. The angle of incidence will be the angle between incident ray and the normal. Then this angle you can call as angle of refraction. You can take it as R. Okay. So let me take it I1 and R1. Okay, why I am taking I1 and R1? Because this is angle of incident, first time it is making, but again it will act as an incident ray. So I am taking this one as angle I2. Okay, now this angle will become angle R2, or you can say it E. Why E? Because it is angle of emergence. Okay, so here through the glass slab you can observe that the ray entering OA from here, but when you will observe the ray, it will emerge as this. Means it will not go straight, it will slightly shift itself from this. It should appear this way, but it is not appearing this way and it has been shifted to this side. If it is shifted, and this shift is known as lateral displacement. There is a quite little displacement of the incident ray and the emergent ray, and this displacement is known as lateral displacement. The shift in the ray because of refraction through a glass slab is known as lateral displacement. Okay, so now here we have to prove that this ray is parallel to this emergent ray. So here is a proof for this. Maybe with your notes the proof is not there. So through this only, through this explanation only, you people can note down this proof in your copies. Okay. So now here I am going to start. What we have to prove? We have to prove that proof is that OA is parallel to O dash, A dash. This is to prove. This we have to prove that OA is parallel to O dash, A dash. So now how we are going to prove this? You know that in mathematics, whenever we have to prove that two lines are parallel to each other, first we need to show either the alternate angles are equal, or the corresponding angles are equal, or maybe the co-interior angles are supplementary. Okay, so here we are going to prove that the exterior opposite angles are, alternate exterior angles are equal. That means angle, this small one is equals to angle this one. I am going to produce it a little. See, I have produced it back side, I am going to produce it this side also. Okay, let me take, for an ease I am taking these angles as angle 1, angle 2, angle 3 I am taking it, this I am taking as angle 4, and these two as angle 5 and angle 6. For an ease I am taking it 5, 6, otherwise it will become very typical for you to prove all. Okay, let me take this one as D and this is as D dash, so that in your construction point you can write down to produce O till this OO dash to OD and O dash D dash. Okay, so here I am going to start your proof. First we are going to prove that angle, this complete angle I is equals to angle E. Our first proof will be, first we are going to prove that angle I is equals to angle E. That means angle of incidence is equal to angle of emergence. Okay, how we are going to prove this? This we are going to prove with the help of Snell's law. What is Snell's law? Applying Snell's law at point O. Okay, so according to Snell's law, the sign of angle of incidence upon sign of angle of this refraction one is equals to the refractive index of glass with respect to water, isn't it? And G upon Na. Give this equation number 1. Name it. Now at point O dash, the same we are going to apply. That means now it is entering from denser medium to rarer medium. That means from angle I2 sin I2 upon sin E. Okay, that will be equals to what? It is entering from here to here. That means Na upon Ng. This is not equation 2, but we are going to take the reverse of this. If you will observe these two equations, this is Ng upon Na, this is Na upon Ng. That means reverse of each other. So we are going to reverse it here only, which can say that sine of E upon sine of I2 will be equals to Ng upon Na. Is it clearly visible to you all? No? I know you are not able to answer. This is equation 2. From first and second now, what will happen? The RHS is same. If the RHS is equal, then LHS should be equal. So what we can write, that sine I1 upon sine R1 is equals to sine E upon sine I2. Okay, now are you able to cancel anything here? But if you will observe from the figure, then you can see that angle R1 is equals to angle I2. Why? Because N1 N1 dash is parallel to N2 N2 dash. Okay, so here I am going to write, since N1 dash is parallel to N2 N2 dash, so, or therefore, because with since we used to use therefore angle R1 is equals to angle I2. Clear? Which implies that sine I1 upon sine R1 is equals to, or with this you have to write the reason that these are alternate angles. Yes? Sine I1 upon sine R1 is equals to sine E upon sine I2. Yes. So if the denominator is not I2, I have copied it same, but in place of I2 I am going to take R1. Now denominator is same, which will imply that sine I1 is equals to sine E. Since sine I1 is equals to sine E, so we can write I1 is equals to E. Now first thing is proved here, that means angle I1, this complete angle, is equals to complete angle of emergence. Okay, this is your equation number 3. Now come to the figure. From figure, as I have already marked angle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, I hope it is clearly visible to you all. Now I have to prove that angle 2 is equals to angle 5. Then only I will be able to prove that angle 6 is equals to angle 1. And once I will prove that angle 6 is equals to angle 1, then it will be automatically proved that AO is parallel to O dash A dash. So now see how I am going to do this. See, D dash is a line and N dash, N1 dash is a line. These are the two intersecting lines of which angle 2 is vertically opposite to angle 3. So can I take it first? Angle 2 is equals to angle 3. And what will be the reason? This is vertically opposite angles. Okay. Now angle 3 is equals to angle 4. Angle 3 is equals to angle 4. It is also vertically opposite. Sorry, this is alternate angle here. Alternate angles. Okay. Then your angle 4 is equals to angle 5. Angle 4 is equals to angle 5. This is also vertically opposite angles. Clear? Now from these three equations, this I am taking A point, this I am taking B point and this I am taking C point. From A, B and C, what we will get? 2 is equals to 3, 3 is equals to 4, 4 is equals to 5. So can we write that angle 2 is equals to angle 5? Now from figure, angle 2 is equals to angle 5. Give it equation number 4. Okay? Okay. Now this is fourth equation, this is third equation. From third equation, angle I, that means this complete angle is equals to this complete angle. And from equation 4, angle 2 means this portion, this some part of this complete angle I is equals to angle 5. If we are going to subtract these two, we will get angle 1 is equals to angle 6. So from third and fourth, or you can write subtracting equation 4 from 3. Subtracting 4 from 3. How you will subtract? Angle I1 minus angle 2 is equals to angle E minus angle 5. See from figure now, angle I1 minus angle 2 will become angle 1 and angle E minus angle 5 will become angle 6. Angle 6. Okay. Angle 1 is equals to angle 6. That means if you can see from the figure, just look at only the red lines, that AO extended till here and O dash A dash extended till here. These are the two parallel lines, no? Only observe this, then your DD dash will act as a transversal here. Okay, so if this is a transversal and these two angles are equal, angle 1 is equals to angle 6. That means this is a pair of alternate exterior angles. So here I am going to write the reason. Angle 1 is equals to angle 6, also a pair of, which is also a pair of, which is also a pair of exterior alternate angles. So what? So that means OA is parallel to O dash A dash, hence proved. यही लिखते हैं मैथ्स में. That means your two rays, that means your incident ray is parallel to emergent ray. That means incident ray will not go straight, but actually it will shift its place from this direction to this direction because of refraction, because of change in medium, because of change in the speed of this light ray as it enters from one medium to another. Let me tell you one more thing. When this incident ray will incident or strike here, it will also show a reflection of this ray. It doesn't mean that it will only show the refraction here, but it will also show the reflection here. But for our explanation, we are going to prove here only the refraction. So I have taken the case of refraction only. One ray will be refracted to this part and one ray will be reflected. So we are not taking the reflected ray, I am taking only the refracted ray here. Clear? Okay. Next topic is principle of reversibility. What is this? As you can means from the word only it is clear. Reversibility means the light ray will reverse itself. And how it will reverse itself? If we will place a kind of plane mirror in the another medium. The light ray will enter from here this way. It will go this way, but it will find a mirror here and it will reverse its direction again along the same path from where it is coming. Okay, so this is your angle of incidence, this is your angle of refraction. This principle of reversibility we are going to prove here with the help of Snell's law. According to Snell's law, at point O, this is your O point at the interface of PQ. At point O, in case when the light enters from medium 1 to medium 2, this is your medium 1 and this is your medium 2. When it will enter from medium 1 to medium 2, what will happen? Sin I upon sin R will be equals to N2 upon N1, or you can say what? N2 upon N1 means refractive index of 2 with respect to 1. Give it equation number 1, name it. Then at point O again, but this time now the ray is going back medium 2 to medium 1. Through Snell's law, this is sin R upon sin I, that will be equals to N1 upon N2, or you can write it N1 with respect to 2. This is equation number 2. Okay, so what we are going to do now, we are going to multiply first and second equation. Multiplying first and second equation. What will happen? Sin I upon sin R multiply by sin R upon sin I is equals to 1 N2 multiply by 2 N1. Okay, this will be cancelled out and this will become 1. 1 will be equals to refractive index of 2 with respect to 1 multiply by refractive index of 1 with respect to 2. Shift 1 to this side, then you will see that they are reverse of each other. Now this is called the principle of reversibility. Clear? That means refractive index of 1 with respect to 2 is exactly equal to or opposite to the refractive index of 2 with respect to 1. This is your principle of reversibility. And your next topic is effect of refraction, that is apparent depth. What is that? Apparent depth means whenever you observe anything in another medium, Like from air the light ray will enter to water, then the things in the water appear to be a little raised if you are not observing it normally. Normally means perpendicular to the surface of water. Okay, as you can see in case of a coin dipped in water, or a stick or a pencil kept in water. What you will find that if you will keep a pencil in a glass of water, then you will slightly find that it is a little broken types, like right. So the first one is bending of a stick dipped in water. This we will do with the help of an activity. Here you can see the stick is there. Instead of a stick I have taken a pencil. So when a stick is partially immersed in water obliquely to its surface, obliquely means I have kept it a little oblique, it is not a straight. Okay, so it appears to be bent at the surface of water. At the surface of water you can see that it appears to be a little bent. Light rays from this stick bend at the air water interface and deviate from their actual path. Actually it is deviating from its path, it is not coming straight like this, like right, it is bending at its surface. This is because of refraction of light. So it is only giving a perception that the portion of a stick underwater is raised above. It is actually giving you that it is a little raised above and consequently appears bent. And the next example we are going to take of when a coin, or in place of a coin anything else, is dipped in water. So now the next activity is I have dipped a rubber inside this water, in this water. Okay, so as you can see from here, this is the actual depth of the eraser. But if you will try to observe it a little obliquely, you will find that it is a little raised till here. So now can you see the difference between the two, the actual depth and the raised one? This is actually called the apparent depth of any object when it is kept in another medium. Okay, so here I am going to do the actual proof of this apparent depth. Coin or eraser underwater appears to be raised. How we are going to prove this? There is a relation between real depth upon apparent depth. Real depth upon apparent depth. From figure only, like in case of a glass, the eraser was kept here and it appears to be kept here. So with this only you can observe the depth. Actually the depth is this one, but it is appearing to be here. This is called apparent or real depth. So here we are going to take the refractive index of water with respect to air, because light ray is entering from air to water. So refractive index of water with respect to air. You know the refractive index of water is 4/3 and refractive index of air is 1. So it will become 4/3. So real depth upon real depth upon apparent depth is equals to 4/3. That means the apparent depth is equals to 3/4. On rearranging it you will get that apparent depth is 3/4 of the real depth. But don't get confused that this 3/4 will remain same every time. It will change along with the medium, with the change in medium. In case of water it is 3/4 of the real depth. Maybe in case of glass it will be 2/3 or 2/3 of the real depth in case of glass. So it will change accordingly as per your medium. So till here you people have done, and now I have given a attached assignment to you. Just do those questions in your notebook very properly. I am going to give it with answers only. Cross check your answers and do all the questions in your copy.